The room felt too small for what she was feeling. Sophia stood frozen in the center of Wu Jin's penthouse, the city lights sprawling behind floor-to-ceiling windows, but all she could see was him. "You're shaking," he said softly, not moving from where he leaned against the doorframe. She was. Her hands trembled at her sides, her breath coming shallow and uneven. "I don't do this," she whispered, hating how her voice cracked. "I don't let people in like this." "I know." His voice was low, careful, like he was gentling something wild. He pushed off the doorframe, taking one slow step toward her, then another. "We don't have to—" "I want to." The words escaped before she could stop them, raw and honest and terrifying. Wu Jin stopped, his jaw tightened, eyes darkening with something that made her stomach flip. But he didn't rush, didn't reach for her. He just stood there, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off him, close enough that one more breath would close the distance. Sophia. Her name sounded different in his mouth, reverent, weighted. "If we do this, I need you to know—" He paused, searching her face like he was memorizing every detail. "I'm not playing anymore." She took one small step forward, then whispered the words that would unravel them both. Then stop holding back. She didn't know. She had no idea that she had just won him $500,000, had no idea that in 8 days she'd just be another waitress he discarded. Welcome to K-Stories by Emma. Before we continue, please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss any story. 21 days earlier, Sophia was just trying to survive another shift at the Capitol Lounge without strangling a customer. Georgetown, Washington, D.C., the kind of bar where senators closed deals and lobbyists made promises over $100 whiskey. Sophia moved between tables with practiced efficiency, smile professional, walls up. She'd already turned down 3 men tonight. The 4th was sitting in booth 7, watching her with the kind of intensity that made her spine prickle. Wu Jin Baek sat across from his younger brother, Soo Jin, barely listening. Soo Jin's voice cut through the jazz music like a blade. "Face it, Hyung, no woman has ever chosen you. They tolerate you because of the name, because of the money, but love you? Never." The words landed exactly where Soo Jin intended. Wu Jin's jaw tightened, eyes darkening with something that made her stomach flip. But he didn't say anything. He was used to this, the constant comparisons, the casual cruelty disguised as brotherly honesty. Soo Jin leaned back, smirking. "You want to prove me wrong? Let's make it interesting." He pulled out a pen, scribbled on a cocktail napkin, and slid it across the table. $500,000, Baltimore territory, and public acknowledgement that I'm the better man. All yours if you can make one woman actually fall for you. Wu Jin stared at the napkin. "What's the catch?" 30 days, and I pick the target. Soo Jin's eyes scanned the bar, landing on Sophia as she politely redirected a drunk patron's wandering hand. Her, the ice queen. She's rejected half the bar tonight. Make her fall for you, and you win. Fail, and you admit what we both already know. You're second place. Always have been. Pride is a dangerous thing. Wu Jin knew he should walk away. Instead, he watched Sophia move through the crowd with quiet dignity, exhaustion barely hidden behind professional courtesy. She wasn't ice, she was armor, and Soo Jin had just made her a target. They shook hands. The bet was made. Wu Jin approached the bar where Sophia was refilling water glasses. He opened with practiced charm. "I noticed you handled that situation earlier with impressive grace. Not many people can de-escalate like that." "Sir, if you're about to ask for my number, the answer is no. If you need anything else, I'm happy to help." The rejection was surgical, clean, final. Wu Jin retreated to his booth, and for the first time in years he felt something other than resentment toward his brother's games. He felt intrigued. Soo Jin's text came immediately. "Strike 1, 29 days left. Don't embarrass the family further." Wu Jin deleted it, but his eyes drifted back to Sophia. She was laughing now with a coworker, a real laugh, unguarded for half a second. That laugh hooked something in his chest. As he left, he overheard her coworker Naya whisper, "Girl, you okay? That's the 3rd guy tonight." Sophia's response stopped him cold. I'm fine. I can't do this again. Not after Mark. I can't be someone's entertainment. Entertainment. The same word Sujin used for women, the same word Woojin had used. Outside, sitting in his Range Rover, Woojin did what he always did: research. Within minutes, LinkedIn showed hospitality management student, Instagram showed a younger sister at Howard University, Venmo showed tuition payments labeled Amara's tuition. She was carrying the world quietly, no complaints, just survival. He opened his notes app and typed, Day 1. She said no, she meant it. Why does that make me want to know her more? He stared at the words, disturbed by his own question. This was supposed to be strategy, a game, proof to his brother that he could win. So why did it already feel like something else? Day 2. Sophia pushed through the heavy doors of the Capitol Lounge, already exhausted before her shift even started. Double shifts were killing her, but Amara's tuition wasn't going to pay itself. The host stand had an envelope with her name on it. She frowned, picking it up. Inside, $200 in crisp bills and a note in clean handwriting. For the table that walked out on their bill last night, you shouldn't have to cover people's cruelty. A witness. No name, no number, just money she desperately needed but didn't know if she should accept. Sophia looked around the empty bar, clutching the envelope. Who even noticed that? Who cared enough to do something about it? The answer, she'd learn later, was sitting in a penthouse across town, staring at his phone like it held answers he didn't want to find. Days 2 through 7 became a pattern Sophia couldn't explain. Day 3, an elderly couple she served, clearly celebrating their anniversary on a tight budget, somehow had their entire bill paid by an anonymous patron. The husband's eyes watered with gratitude. Sophia felt something shift in her chest watching them leave hand in hand. Day 4, her manager called her into the office. Corporate says we're overstaffed this week. Take Thursday and Friday off. Paid. Sophia blinked. They were never overstaffed, and paid time off? That didn't happen to waitresses. But she didn't argue. She took Amara to dinner instead, the first time in months she wasn't too tired to be a sister. Day 5, Amara's Instagram story stopped Sophia mid-shift. A photo of gorgeous flowers delivered to her dorm with a card. Congratulations on Dean's List. Your sister is proud. Keep shining. A friend of the family. Sophia stared at her phone, heart hammering. Who knew about Amara? Who knew she made Dean's List? She'd mentioned it exactly once to a coworker in passing last week while refilling drinks near Booth 7. Booth 7, where that man had been sitting, the one with the expensive suit and eyes that saw too much. Day 5, evening. Woojin walked into the Capitol Lounge like he owned it. Maybe he did. Sophia didn't know anymore. He sat in her section, ordered whiskey neat, and didn't say a word, just left a $100 tip on a $20 drink and disappeared into the night. Sophia watched him go, unsettled. This wasn't normal. Men who wanted something always made their intentions clear. But this man? He was a ghost leaving breadcrumbs she couldn't decide whether to follow or run from. Day 7. He returned. Same booth, same drink, but this time, when Sophia set the glass down, he spoke. The flowers were for your sister. I overheard you mention her tuition last week. Congratulations to her. His voice was quiet, measured, not asking for credit, just stating fact. Sophia froze. How did you... But he was already looking at his phone, giving her space, letting her process, not pushing. That, somehow, was worse than pushing. In the break room, Nia cornered her. Girl, that man has been here 4 times this week. He tips like he's apologizing for existing and doesn't hit on you. That's either a serial killer or someone with a plan. Be careful. Sophia nodded, but her mind was spinning. That night, alone in her apartment, she did what anyone would do. She Googled him. Woojin Bake. Articles popped up. Legitimate, but vague. Import-export business. Bake family enterprises. The kind of phrases that said everything and nothing. No criminal record, no scandals, just money and mystery. She should have been more concerned. Instead, she was curious. Meanwhile, at the Bake estate in rural Virginia, Woojin sat through a family meeting wishing he was anywhere else. Sujin's voice cut across the conference table. How's your little project, Hyung? Made any progress, or is she still treating you like the help? Their father, Tae-young, looked up sharply. What project? Sujin waved dismissively. Nothing important, just Woo-jin proving he can close a deal for once. The words were casual, the cruelty was surgical. Woo-jin's mother, Haejin, studied him with eyes that missed nothing. Later, she pulled him aside in the hallway. Your brother is baiting you into something foolish. Don't let pride make you cruel. Woo-jin met her gaze and lied smoothly. I'm handling it, Oma. But Haejin's eyes lingered, unconvinced. She knew her sons better than they knew themselves. Day 7, 11 p.m. Sophia locked up the bar, keys jangling in the quiet Georgetown street. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. I know you don't trust me yet, but I'd like to buy you coffee. No games, just conversation. If you say no, I'll respect that. Woo-jin. She stared at the screen for 3 full minutes. Nia's warning echoed. But something about the phrase, if you say no, I'll respect that, felt different. It felt like a man who understood boundaries because he'd watched her enforce them. She typed before she could overthink. 1 coffee, public place, I choose where. Her thumb hovered over send, heart pounding, every instinct screaming this was a mistake. She hit send anyway. Day 8. The cafe near Eastern Market buzzed with weekend energy. Families, students, couples stealing moments between errands. Sophia sat across from Woo-jin, hands wrapped around a latte she hadn't touched, armor firmly in place. Her posture screamed defense, shoulders back, eyes sharp, escape routes already mapped. She'd agreed to this, but that didn't mean she trusted it. Woo-jin didn't lean in, didn't flash the practiced smile she'd seen men use like weapons. He just waited, hands folded on the table, giving her the power to start this conversation or end it. Finally, she spoke. Why the flowers for my sister? Why not just ask me out like a normal person? Woo-jin considered his answer carefully, not calculating, just honest. Because asking you out would have been about what I wanted. The flowers were about acknowledging what you've built. That felt more important. Sophia blinked. That wasn't the answer she expected. And that's how it started. Coffee turned into a walk through the National Mall on day 9, monuments glowing in late afternoon sun. Then dinner on day 10 at Habesha, the Ethiopian restaurant in Northeast D.C. that Sophia loved but rarely had time to visit. Woo-jin listened more than he spoke, and in his world, where silence meant power withheld, that was revolutionary. Sophia talked, really talked, about Amara, about their mother who died of cancer when Sophia was 19 and suddenly responsible for a 9-year-old, about working 3 jobs, sometimes 4, to keep her sister fed, housed, and focused on school instead of survival. She's the smart one, Sophia said, tearing injera with her fingers. I'm just the one who makes sure she gets to be smart. Woo-jin shook his head. You're both smart. She's just lucky enough to have you carrying the weight so she doesn't have to. Sophia's throat tightened. Nobody ever said it like that, like what she did mattered beyond function. On day 11, over late-night Korean fried chicken at a spot in Annandale, she told him about Mark. He made me feel chosen, she said quietly, staring at her plate. Like I was special. Turned out I was just winter rotation. He had a whole pattern. Different girl every season. I found the texts, the schedule. Her laugh was bitter. I was so stupid. Woo-jin's jaw tightened. The word pattern landed like a punch. You weren't stupid. He was a coward who didn't deserve your trust. How do you know? She looked up, eyes searching. You don't even know me. I know you work yourself to exhaustion for your sister. I know you shut down 3 guys in one night without being cruel about it. I know you're sitting here with me even though every instinct is telling you not to. He paused. That's not stupid. That's brave. Sophia felt something crack. Not break, just shift enough to let light through. Day 12. The National Gallery of Art. They wandered through rooms for hours, Sophia's interpretations bold and unfiltered, Woo-jin's quieter but thoughtful. In front of a massive Rothko, blocks of color bleeding into each other, Sophia stopped. It's like staring at feelings you don't have words for yet, she murmured. Woo-jin looked at the painting, then at her. Yeah, exactly like that. For the first time in years, he felt seen, not as Sujin's inferior, not as the son who couldn't measure up, just as a man capable of stillness, of being enough without proving anything. Safia caught herself laughing at his dry comment about a nearby art critic's pretentious analysis, and the sound surprised her. Real laughter, light. When was the last time she felt this unburdened? But for Wu Jin, that laugh was a problem, because for 5 perfect seconds he forgot about the bet entirely, forgot about proving Sujin wrong. He was just a man making a woman smile, and it terrified him. Day 13, midnight. Wu Jin's phone rang as he drove home from Safia's neighborhood. Sujin's voice oozed through the speaker. 2 weeks down, Hyung. I'm impressed. You've made real progress. But let's not forget, this ends when you get what you came for. Don't go soft. Wu Jin's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. I know what I'm doing. Do you? Sujin's laugh was a blade. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're catching feelings for the help. The call ended. Wu Jin pulled over on a dark side street, breathing hard. He stared at his reflection in the rearview mirror and didn't recognize the man looking back, someone torn between winning a game and walking away from it entirely. Day 14. The test. Safia invited him to meet Amara at a campus cafe near Howard. Wu Jin knew what this meant. This was the line. Cross it successfully and Safia's walls came down. Fail, and it was over. Amara Lawson was 20, brilliant and protective as a lioness. She asked pointed questions. What do you do? What are your intentions? What's your family like? Wu Jin answered honestly where he could, vaguely where he had to. Import-export, security consulting, complicated family dynamics. Then Amara leaned forward, eyes sharp. Why my sister? Wu Jin didn't hesitate. Because she's the first person in a long time who's made me want to be better than I've been. Silence. Amara studied him like he was an equation she was solving. Then she glanced at Safia, who looked like she'd stopped breathing. Finally, Amara nodded. Okay, but if you hurt her, I know people. Half joke, half threat. Wu Jin respected both. Walking to Safia's car afterward, she bumped his shoulder gently. She likes you. That's rare. Wu Jin couldn't respond. The guilt was climbing his throat like bile, choking him. That night, Safia texted, "Thank you for today. Amara means everything to me. You were good with her." Wu Jin sat alone in his penthouse, staring at the message. He opened his notes app, scrolled to his daily log. Day 14. She let me meet her family. She's trusting me. I don't deserve it. His phone buzzed. Sujin. 16 days left, Hyung. Don't screw this up now. Wu Jin deleted it, then did something he'd never done before. He opened a new message to Sujin and typed, "I'm forfeiting. Keep your money. I'm out." His thumb hovered over send, but he didn't press it yet, because pressing send meant admitting what terrified him most. He'd stopped playing the game days ago. Day 15. The Potomac River stretched dark and endless beyond the windshield, city lights dancing on the water like scattered diamonds. Inside Wu Jin's car, the heater hummed softly, filling the silence between them. Safia was quiet tonight, distant. Wu Jin didn't push. He'd learned that about her. She needed space to decide when to let people in. Finally, she spoke. I need to tell you something about why I almost said no to coffee. Wu Jin turned off the music, giving her silence to fill however she needed. What came next broke something in him. Safia unraveled the full story of Mark, not just the betrayal, the aftermath, how Mark gaslit her for months, making her believe she was paranoid when she questioned the late nights, the vague excuses, the way he'd turn her concerns back on her like weapons. I found the texts by accident, she said, staring at her hands. He had a system, labels, winter rotation. That's what I was. Another woman was summer. He had a whole calendar. Her voice hollowed out. When I confronted him, he laughed, called me dramatic, said I should have known I wasn't wifey material, like I was stupid for believing him. She looked up, eyes bright with old pain. I felt disposable, like I wasn't even human to him, just entertainment. The word landed like a bullet. Entertainment, the same word Sujin used, the same word Woojin had used for women in his past, the word that defined this entire bet. Woojin's stomach dropped. He wanted to confess everything right there, rip the lie out by its roots before it could poison what they were building, but fear locked his throat shut. Instead, he reached for her hand slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. "You're not disposable, Sophia." His voice was rough, raw. "You're not anyone's entertainment. He searched for words that didn't feel like lies. "You're someone worth showing up for, every day." Sophia's fingers tightened around his, and Woojin knew, with devastating clarity, that he was in love with Sophia. Days 16 through 18 blurred together like a dream he didn't want to wake from. Day 16, phone calls that stretched past 2 a.m., talking about everything and nothing. Sophia told him about her mother's laugh, about the last good day before the cancer took her. Woojin told her about growing up in Sujin's shadow, never quite measuring up. It was the most honest he'd been with anyone. Day 17, Woojin canceled a mandatory family meeting, something he'd never done, to help Sophia move Amara into a new dorm room. He lifted boxes, assembled furniture, made terrible jokes that had Amara laughing despite herself. Sophia watched him joke with her sister, sleeves rolled up, hair falling in his eyes, and felt something shift permanently in her chest. Day 18. She invited him to her apartment for dinner. Nothing fancy, just jollof rice and plantains cooked in her tiny kitchen while he sat at the counter, watching her move through the space with easy grace. The apartment was small, barely room for the couch and TV, but it felt like home in a way his penthouse never had. After dinner, she played Afrobeats from her phone and tried to teach him to dance. He was terrible at it. She laughed, real, unguarded, beautiful, and he understood with devastating certainty that he'd been in love with her since the gallery. Maybe earlier. The bet felt like poison now, something corrosive eating through every good moment, turning joy into guilt. Later, washing dishes side by side, her shoulder brushing his, Sophia thought, "I could fall for this man. I think I already am." She didn't know he was thinking the exact same thing. Day 18, midnight. Woojin sat in his car outside Sophia's building and did what he should have done days ago. He texted Sujin, "I'm out. The bet's off. Keep your territory, I forfeit." The response came instantly. "You're pathetic. She's a waitress, Hung. She's nothing. You're throwing away $500K and your reputation for a woman who will leave you the second she finds someone better. You've always been weak. This just proves it." Woojin didn't reply. He blocked Sujin's number, hands shaking, not from anger, but from relief. He was free. Except he wasn't, because Sophia still didn't know, and that lie was a time bomb ticking between them. He started to pull away from the curb when his phone buzzed. "Sophia, you forgot your jacket. Come back up?" He took the stairs 2 at a time. When she opened the door, she looked vulnerable in a way that made his chest ache. Barefoot, hair pulled back, wearing an oversized Howard sweatshirt that probably belonged to Amara. "Woojin?" She handed him the jacket. "I just want you to know, I'm glad you didn't give up after I said no that first time. I'm glad you're here." Then she kissed his cheek, soft, lingering. He closed his eyes, memorizing everything, the warmth of his lips, the scent of shea butter in her hair, the way she felt safe enough to be this open with him. When he opened his eyes, she was smiling, unguarded, trusting. "Good night," she whispered. He could barely speak. "Good night, Sophia." The door closed. Woojin leaned against the hallway wall, head tipped back, drowning in guilt and longing. Day 20, 3 a.m. Woojin sat in his penthouse staring at his phone. A new message from an unknown number, formal, cold. "Mr. Bach, your brother has requested documentation of your agreement from day one. He's retained legal counsel. Advise." The family attorney. Woojin's blood ran cold. Sujin wasn't letting this go. He was escalating, making this legal, making this permanent. One thought repeated, desperate and useless. "Sophia can never find out. She'll never forgive me." But a quieter voice asked the question that terrified him most. How long can you keep lying to someone you love? Day 19. The wharf at sunset, the Potomac turning gold and pink beneath the fading light. Sophia's hand fit perfectly in Wu Jin's as they walked, her voice bright, talking about Amara's upcoming presentation. Wu Jin heard maybe half of it. The attorney's message played on repeat in his head like a warning siren he couldn't silence. She noticed. Of course she noticed. "Hey, where'd you go?" He forced a smile. "Nowhere, I'm here." She squeezed his hand, smiling. "Good, stay here." But he wasn't here. He was trapped between the woman he loved and the lie that would destroy her. Days 19 through 21 were perfection on the surface, torment underneath. Saturday morning at Eastern Market, Sophia dragged him through vendor stalls, laughing at his terrible haggling skills. Sunday, at the portrait gallery, they spent hours debating which historical figures they'd invite to dinner. Monday night, at a jazz club on U Street, she pulled him onto the dance floor despite his protests, and he let her lead because her joy was worth any embarrassment. She was radiant. He was drowning. Day 21. Dinner at a quiet Italian place in Georgetown. Candlelight, wine. Sophia reached across the table, fingers threading through his. "You know what's wild?" Her eyes were soft, open. "I thought I'd never trust anyone again after Mark, but you make it easy. You don't push. You just show up." Woojin's throat tightened. "Sophia." He kissed him before he could finish. Soft, slow, tasting like wine and hope. "I'm falling for you," she whispered against his lips. "Is that okay?" He should confess, should rip the lie out before it metastasized further. Instead, he whispered back, "It's more than okay." The lie tasted like ash in his mouth. Day 22. The night everything changed. Sophia invited him back to his penthouse after dinner at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the Capitol. Inside, the city lights sprawled through floor-to-ceiling windows, indifferent and glittering. The air between them shifted, charged, inevitable. She turned to him, eyes soft but clear. "I want this. Do you?" Woojin's heart hammered against his ribs. He should stop this, should tell her everything. But when she reached for him, when her fingers traced his jaw with tenderness no one had ever offered him, he surrendered. What followed wasn't conquest, it was reverence. His hands learned the curve of her waist slowly, hesitantly, asking permission with every touch. She answered by pulling him closer, breath warm against his neck. They moved to the bedroom, not rushed, but drawn by gravity neither could resist. He kissed her collarbone, the hollow of her throat, the space behind her ear, memorizing the sound of her sighs. She traced the tattoos on his chest, the ink that marked him as Bake Family, and whispered, "You're beautiful." No one had ever called him that. Her fingers threaded through his hair as he worshipped her, shoulders, ribs, hips, with a reverence that felt like apology and prayer combined. When their eyes met, there was a question in hers. He answered by kissing her forehead, her eyelids, her lips. Slow, aching, infinite. The world narrowed to breath and touch, to the way she said his name like it meant something sacred. Fabric fell away. Skin met skin. They moved together, tentative at first, then certain, finding rhythm in whispered reassurances and gasped permissions. She arched into him, and he buried his face in her neck, overwhelmed by the trust she was offering, the vulnerability he didn't deserve. Time stopped. The city outside faded. There was only this, two people choosing each other in the dark, building something fragile and true. Afterwards, she curled into his chest, fingers tracing lazy patterns on his shoulder. "Stay," she murmured, already half asleep. He held her tighter, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. "Always," he lied. Day 23, 6 a.m. His phone vibrated on the nightstand. Sophia slept peacefully beside him, one arm draped across his chest, trusting and vulnerable. Wu Jin carefully extracted himself, pulled on clothes, and stepped onto the balcony. The message was from the family attorney. Sujin has filed a formal claim with your father regarding breach of agreement. Family meeting required. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., non-negotiable. Woojin's hands shook as he unblocked Sujin's number and dialed. His brother answered immediately, voice dripping with smugness. "Morning, Hyung. Sleep well?" "What do you want?" Sujin laughed, low and cruel. "What I've always wanted. Proof that you're weak. And now I have it. You forfeited, but you're still playing house with her. So either you're lying to me or you're lying to her. Either way, you lose." Woojin's grip tightened on the railing. "She's not part of this." Sujin's voice turned sharp. "Here's the new deal. Family meeting tomorrow. You bring her, introduce her properly, and I'll drop the claim. Or you end it today, and I'll consider us even." "She's not—" "Tick-tock, Hyung. Choose wisely." The call ended. Woojin stood frozen, the city waking below him, the woman he loved asleep in his bed, and the trap closing from every direction. Behind him, the door slid open. Sophia appeared, wrapped in his shirt, hair tousled, smiling. "Morning, you okay?" Woojin turned, and for a split second she saw something raw and broken in his eyes. Then he smiled, practiced, false. "I'm perfect. Come here." She crossed to him, let him wrap her in his arms, press his lips to her hair. She had no idea the man holding her was trying to figure out how to protect her from a bomb he'd built himself. Day 23. Something was wrong. Sophia noticed it in the small things, the distance in Woojin's eyes when she spoke, phone calls he took in another room with the door closed, the tightness in his shoulders that hadn't been there 3 days ago. During lunch at a cafe in DuPont Circle, she reached across the table and touched his hand. "Talk to me, what's wrong?" He forced lightness into his voice. "Work stress, nothing you need to worry about." It was the first time he'd dismissed her like that, like she was someone to protect instead of someone to trust. It stung more than she wanted to admit. Days 23 through 26 became a slow fracture neither acknowledged out loud. Woojin was physically present but emotionally absent, his mind spinning through impossible scenarios on a loop. Tell Sophia the truth and lose her forever, bring her to the family meeting and expose her to a world that would chew her up, cut her off completely and destroy them both. He chose delay, which was just cowardice in a different shape. Sophia felt the shift but didn't push. She'd been here before with Mark, the silence before the betrayal, the distance that meant someone was already halfway out the door. But this terrified her more because she'd actually let herself believe Woojin was different. Day 26, 2 a.m. Sophia woke to an empty bed. She called, no answer, texted, no response. At 3 a.m., Woojin returned smelling like whiskey and cold air, eyes haunted. "Where were you?" Sophia sat on his couch, arms wrapped around herself, trying to keep from falling apart. He lied. Couldn't sleep, went for a drive. She searched his face, looking for truth in the shadows. "Are you seeing someone else?" The question cracked him open like an egg. "What? No! Sophia, no!" He dropped to his knees in front of her, hands on her thighs, desperate and raw. "You're the only one, I swear." She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. "Then what's happening? You're slipping away from me." Woojin pressed his forehead to her knee, voice breaking. "I'm trying to protect you." "From what?" Silence. He couldn't answer without destroying everything. Sophia pulled back, wounded. "If you don't trust me enough to tell me what's wrong, then maybe we're not—" "I love you." The words ripped out of him, raw and unplanned and desperate. Sophia froze. Woojin looked up, eyes red-rimmed and vulnerable. "I love you, Sophia. That's what's happening, and it terrifies me because I don't know how to do this without breaking everything." Relief warred with fear in Sophia's chest. He loved her, but something was still wrong, something he refused to name. She chose to believe the love and ignore the warning signs screaming in the back of her mind. "I love you too," she whispered, pulling him up to her. They held each other in the dark, both knowing this wasn't resolution, it was intermission. Day 27. Sophia's period was late. 3 days late. She told herself it was stress, irregular cycles, nothing to worry about, but the possibility planted itself in her mind like a seed she couldn't uproot, terrifying and impossible to ignore. She didn't tell Woojin, not yet, not until she knew for sure. Meanwhile, Woojin's phone buzzed during a tense drive through Georgetown. Soojin's message was final. Family meeting tomorrow, father's orders. Bring the girl or don't bother coming at all. This ends one way or another. Woojin stared at the screen, trapped between two impossible choices, watching the timer run out on his lies. Day 28. Sophia bought a pregnancy test during her lunch break. Her hands shook so badly at the pharmacy counter that the cashier asked if she was okay. She lied and said she was fine. She took the test in the bar's bathroom during her shift because she couldn't wait until she got home, couldn't stand another minute of not knowing. 2 minutes felt like 2 hours. She sat on the closed toilet lid, staring at the stick in her trembling hands, breath held. 1 line appeared, then 2. Positive. Her knees buckled. The test nearly slipped from her fingers. This can't be real. We were careful. What do I tell him? What does this mean? Joy and terror warred inside her chest, both fighting for dominance. A baby. Woojin's baby. The man she loved. The man who'd been pulling away from her for days. She decided to tell him tonight. No more waiting, no more secrets. That same evening, Woojin sat in his car outside the Capitol Lounge, engine idling, staring at his phone. A new message, unknown number. Not Soojin's style, too direct. Attached, a photo of the original napkin contract from day 1, his handwriting, Soojin's signature, the bet laid bare in black ink. The message read, "She deserves to know the truth. If you don't tell her by tomorrow, I will. Someone who cares about her." Woojin's world tilted sideways. Someone knew. Someone had been watching, and now they were forcing his hand. He had less than 24 hours before everything exploded. His fingers moved on autopilot, texting Sophia, "Can you come over tonight after your shift? We need to talk." Her reply came instantly, "Yes, I need to talk to you too. I have news." Woojin stared at the word news, dread pooling in his stomach. Inside the bar, Sophia clutched her phone, pregnancy test hidden in her purse, heart racing with nervous excitement despite the fear. Neither of them knew they were about to detonate each other's lives. Day 29, 11 p.m. Sophia knocked on Woojin's penthouse door, pregnancy test tucked in her purse, heart hammering with nervous excitement mixed with dread. When he opened the door, her excitement died instantly. He looked destroyed, jaw tight, eyes hollow, like a man facing execution. "Hey," she said softly, trying to read the wreckage in his expression. "You okay?" He stepped aside wordlessly, letting her in. "We need to talk." 4 words, but the way he said them made Sophia's stomach drop through the floor. The air felt wrong, heavy, suffocating, like the moment before a storm breaks and tears everything apart. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, a distance that hadn't existed yesterday, a chasm that felt impossible to cross. Woojin's hands were clasped so tight his knuckles had gone white. "Before you tell me your news, I need to say something, and I need you to let me finish." Sophia's throat closed. She nodded, unable to speak, dread flooding her veins like ice water. Woojin inhaled, exhaled, and began destroying everything. "The night we met wasn't an accident. My brother and I made a bet. He challenged me to make you fall for me in 30 days. The prize was money and territory in our family business. I accepted because I was angry and stupid and wanted to prove him wrong." The words landed like bullets, each one tearing through her chest. Sophia's face drained of all color. "What?" Her voice barely made it past her lips. Woojin pressed on, words tumbling out desperate and frantic. "But I forfeited on day 18. I told him I was out. I blocked his number. Everything since then, everything we've done, everything I've felt has been real. I swear to you, Sophia, I fell in love with you. That was never part of the plan." Safia stood abruptly, backing away from him like he carried a disease she could catch just by breathing the same air. You, you made a bet? On me? Her voice was hollow, shocked. I was a game? You were never a game to me. I was at first. She was shaking now, voice rising to something raw and broken. You looked at me and saw a challenge, a way to win, just like Mark, just like every man who's ever made me feel like I'm only worth what they can get from me. Woojin stood, desperate, reaching for her. Safia, please. How much? Her eyes blazed through tears that were starting to fall. How much? He hesitated, and that hesitation was its own kind of answer. It doesn't matter. How much? $500,000. The number hung in the air between them, obscene and grotesque. Sophia laughed, a broken, bitter sound that didn't belong in her throat. $500,000. That's what it took for you to pretend to care about me. I'm not pretending. I love you. You don't get to say that. She was sobbing now, rage and heartbreak twisted together until she couldn't tell them apart. You don't get to say you love me when you built this entire relationship on a lie. Before Woojin could respond, Sophia's phone buzzed. She glanced at it reflexively, a message from the same unknown number. This time, a photo of Woojin and Sujin shaking hands in the bar on day one, the napkin contract visible between them. The message? Day one. He knew exactly what he was doing. Sophia's hand shook as she showed Woojin the screen. Who sent this? Woojin's face went gray. I don't know. Sophia, I swear, I don't know who. It doesn't matter. Her voice had gone empty now, all the fight drained out like blood from a wound. Someone else knew, which means I was a joke to more than just you and your brother. She grabbed her purse, heading for the door. Woojin followed, desperate. Sophia, please don't leave like this. Let me explain. Explain what? She whirled on him, tears streaming. That you're sorry? That it was real eventually? That doesn't change what you did. She wrenched the door open. He grabbed her arm gently, not restraining, just pleading. Sophia, wait, please. She turned, and the look in her eyes destroyed him more completely than any words could. I was going to tell you tonight that I'm pregnant. The world stopped. Woojin's hand fell away from her arm like he'd been burned. What? I'm pregnant, she repeated, voice shaking with fury and heartbreak. I took the test today. I was terrified and excited, and I couldn't wait to tell you because I thought... Her voice broke completely. I thought we were building something real. But this, she gestured between them, tears falling faster, this is nothing. You're nothing. She left. The door closed. Woojin stood frozen in the entryway, her words echoing in the sudden silence. I'm pregnant. You're nothing. He collapsed onto the couch, head in his hands, the weight of what he'd just learned crushing him. Pregnant. She was carrying his child, a child doctors said he could never have. The impossibility of it would be miraculous if he hadn't just destroyed everything that mattered. His phone rang. Sujin. Woojin answered dead. What? Sujin's laugh was vicious, triumphant. Heard you had an interesting conversation tonight. How'd it go? You sent her the photo. No, Hyung, but I wish I had. Someone beat me to it. Sujin's voice dripped with satisfaction. Doesn't matter now. She knows. You lose. Come to the family meeting tomorrow, or don't. Either way, you're finished. The call ended. Woojin sat alone in his penthouse as dawn broke outside the windows. No sleep, no clarity, just the wreckage of what he'd just done scattered around him like shrapnel. His phone rang. Sophia. Don't contact me. Don't come to my apartment. Don't try to fix this. We're done. Then a second message, unexpected. And when this baby is born, you'll have to decide if you want to be a father or just another man who destroyed me. Choose carefully. The message was final, but the door, impossibly, wasn't fully closed. Woojin stared at the screen, hands shaking, and typed 4 words. I choose you both. He hit send, not knowing if she'd ever read it, not knowing if it even mattered. Day 30, 9 a.m. Woo Jin stood outside the Beck family estate, a sprawling compound deep in rural Virginia, surrounded by forest and designed to impress and intimidate in equal measure. He hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. His reflection in the car window showed a man coming apart at the seams. 17 missed calls from his mother, 8 from his father, 32 texts from Soojin, each more vicious than the last, all ignored. He came here for one reason, to end this war before it consumed what was left of his life. Woojin walked through the front door to find his entire family waiting. Parents, Soojin, uncle from Baltimore, aunt from the import operations, cousins he barely spoke to. This wasn't a meeting, it was a trial, and he was the accused. The conference room felt like a courtroom. Long mahogany table, ancestors' portraits watching from the walls, the weight of legacy pressing down like a physical force. Taiyang sat at the head of the table, expression carved from stone. Soojin has informed us of your situation. His father's voice could freeze blood. A bet involving a civilian, forfeited terms, and now, apparently, a pregnancy. Explain. Woojin stood at the foot of the table, refusing to sit, refusing to be diminished. There's nothing to explain. I made a mistake. I'm handling it. Soojin leaned back in his chair, smirk sharp as a knife. Handling it? Hyung, you got a waitress pregnant and then confessed your little scheme to her. That's not handling, it's self-destruction. Woojin's jaw tightened. Shut up, Soojin. Haijin, seated to Taiyang's right in an immaculate hanbok, raised one hand. The room fell silent instantly. Is she pregnant? Her voice was measured, surgical. Woojin met his mother's eyes. Yes. Is it yours? Yes. Taiyang leaned forward. How do you know? The doctor said you were likely infertile after your illness. Woojin's voice went flat. Apparently, they were wrong. The room erupted. Uncles arguing about bloodline verification, aunts murmuring about scandal, Soojin laughing like this was the best entertainment he'd had in years. Haijin silenced them all with a single look. If the child is legitimate, it changes everything. She spoke like she was discussing a business merger, not a human life. Woojin felt rage building in his chest like a wave about to break. Her name is Sophia, and she's not relevant. She's a person, someone I love. Soojin snorted. Love, please. You're just cleaning up your mess. Woojin rounded on his brother, voice lethal. You're the mess, Soojin. You manipulated this entire thing because you're jealous and insecure. You wanted me to fail so you could feel superior for 5 minutes. Soojin stood, fury flashing across his features. I am superior. I've always been. Enough. Haijin's voice cut through the room like a blade through silk. Both sons froze. She stood slowly, smoothing her hanbok with deliberate grace, every movement controlled and powerful. Soojin, sit down. He sat. Woojin, you will bring this woman here, today. We will meet her, confirm the pregnancy, and proceed accordingly. Horror flooded through Woojin. His family was treating Sophia like property, like a vessel for their heir and nothing more. Bringing her into this world would destroy whatever fragile hope remained between them. I'm not bringing her here. His voice was low, dangerous. She wants nothing to do with me or this family, and I don't blame her. Taiyang's fist slammed the table. You don't have a choice. If she's carrying a Beck, she answers to this family. She answers to no one. Woojin turned to leave. Haijin's voice stopped him cold. Woojin, if you walk out that door without resolving this, I will send people to find her myself. Is that what you want? He turned back, face white with shock. You wouldn't. Haijin's expression was unreadable. I would do anything to protect this family's future, even from you. Before Woojin could respond, his phone buzzed. Nia. She's at Howard Medical Center, ER. Something's wrong. Get here, now. Woojin's heart stopped. He showed the message to his mother without thinking. Haijin's expression shifted, not to compassion, but to urgency. Go, now. We'll follow. Woojin didn't argue. He ran. The drive to Howard University Hospital was a blur of red lights he barely stopped for and speed limits he completely ignored. He tried calling Nia. No answer. Sophia. Straight to voicemail. Amara. Nothing. His mind spiraled. What happened? The baby? Is she hurt? Did I do this? He burst through the ER doors to find Nia in the waiting room, eyes red from crying. Where is she? Nia grabbed his arm, grip fierce. She collapsed at home. Amara called 911. They're running tests now. The baby. I don't know, Nia's voice broke. But Woojin, if you care about her at all, you need to fix what you broke, because she's not just heartbroken, she's breaking. Behind them, the automatic doors opened. Hygiene and Tae Yang entered the ER, flanked by two security personnel in dark suits. The war had come to the hospital, and Sophia was caught in the middle. Day 31. Sophia lay in a hospital bed, IV drip in her arm, staring at the ceiling like it held answers she couldn't find anywhere else. Amara sat beside her, holding her sister's hand, whispering reassurances that neither of them believed. The tests showed severe dehydration and stress-induced complications. Nothing life-threatening yet, the doctors said, but they wanted to monitor the baby. Sophia hadn't spoken since Woojin arrived last night. Not to him, not to anyone, really. Just silence and that hollow stare that made Amara's heart break. In the hallway, Amara cornered Woojin, voice low and venomous. You did this. She trusted you, and you destroyed her. Woojin had no defense. She was right. He camped in the hospital waiting room anyway, despite Amara's orders to leave, despite Sophia's silence, despite everything screaming that he'd lost the right to be here. Down the hall, Hai-jin and Tae-young occupied a private room, conducting family business via phone like this was just another day at the office. Day 32. Soojin arrived. He walked into the hospital like he owned it, designer suit immaculate, expression carefully arranged into concern that fooled exactly no one. Checking on my brother, he told the nurse at the desk. Family emergency. He found Woojin in the hallway outside Sophia's room, looking like he hadn't slept in days, because he hadn't. Soojin's voice was low, almost gentle. This is pathetic, Hyung. She won't even look at you. Cut your losses. Woojin didn't respond, too exhausted to engage with his brother's poison. Soojin leaned closer, voice dropping to a whisper. I could make this easier for you. I have connections, lawyers, fixers. We could make her comfortable, set her up somewhere far away. The baby gets the family name, she gets security, you get your life back. Everyone wins. Woojin's eyes finally met Soojin's, cold, lethal, empty of everything except barely controlled rage. If you go near her, I'll end you, not as your brother, as someone who has nothing left to lose. Soojin's smirk faltered for half a second, then he laughed, backing away with hands raised. Noted. But the damage was done. The threat was made, and Soojin never forgot a threat. Day 33. Sophia was cleared to leave. She refused to speak to Woojin, refused to acknowledge his family, refused to even look in his direction when he stood as she was wheeled past. Nia and Amara formed a protective wall around her, escorting her through the hospital like bodyguards defending against an assault. In the parking garage, Hai-jin intercepted them. Alone. No security, no Tae-yang, just an elegant woman in a tailored coat, hands folded, expression unreadable. Sophia, a moment, please. Sophia stopped, exhaustion written in every line of her body. What do you want? Hai-jin's voice was softer than expected, almost human. To apologize, not for my son, he must do that himself, but for how my family has treated you, like a problem to be managed instead of a person to be respected. Sophia blinked, surprised despite herself. Why should I believe you? Because I'm a mother. Hai-jin's eyes held something genuine. And if my son loves you the way he claims, you deserve more than cruelty. It wasn't forgiveness, wasn't even close, but it was the first crack in the armor of certainty that Wu Jin's entire family was a monolith of evil. Sophia was too tired to know what was real anymore. She nodded once and let Nia guide her to the car. Wu Jin watched from the hospital entrance, watching Sophia leave without a word, seeing the emptiness in her eyes. It was worse than anger, worse than hatred. She'd gone numb to him. Day 33, evening. Sophia was staying at Nia's apartment, refusing to return to her own place where memories of Wu Jin lived in every corner. Wu Jin texted once, "I know you don't want to hear from me, but please know I'm not giving up on you or our child. I'll prove I've changed, however long it takes." She didn't respond. Meanwhile, across town, in a nondescript office building in downtown DC, Sujin sat across from a private investigator with a reputation for finding things people wanted to stay hidden. "I need everything on Sophia. Financial records, past relationships, social media, any vulnerability we can exploit." The investigator hesitated. "Sir, this woman is pregnant with your nephew." "I don't care." Sujin's voice went hard as stone. "Find me ammunition." Money changed hands, files would be delivered within 48 hours. That night, an envelope was slipped under Nia's apartment door. Sophia found it at midnight, unable to sleep, wandering Nia's living room like a ghost. Inside, bank statements showing payments from Wu Jin to various women over the past 3 years, each payment labeled NDA settlement. 11 different women, 11 NDAs, 11 secrets buried with money. A note attached, handwritten. "He has a pattern. You're not special. You're just number 12. Someone who knows." Sophia stared at the documents, hands shaking, every fear she'd ever had crystallizing into certainty. She was never unique, never special, just the latest rotation in a pattern that stretched back years. At 2 a.m., she called Wu Jin. He answered on the first ring, voice thick with interrupted sleep. "Sophia?" Her voice was empty, dead. "Did you pay 11 women to stay quiet about relationships?" Wu Jin jolted, fully awake, scrambling. "What? No, Sophia, where did you—" "Answer the question." Silence. Too long. Damning. "Those weren't relationships, they were—" "Save it." She hung up. Wu Jin stared at his phone, mind racing through possibilities, landing on the worst one. Someone was feeding Sophia information designed to destroy any remaining trust. Someone with access to family financial records. Someone who wanted him to lose everything. His phone buzzed. "Sujin. How's it feel, Hyung? Losing?" And Wu Jin understood with devastating clarity. His brother had gone to war, and Sophia was the battlefield. Day 35. Sophia sat in a private tea room in Georgetown, expensive minimalist decor surrounding her, staring at the woman across the table. Haijin back. Immaculate in a modern hanbok, silver-streaked hair pulled into a perfect bun, hands folded like she was chairing a board meeting instead of having tea. The tea between them had gone cold. Neither had touched it. Sophia came only because Haijin promised information, not manipulation, though with this family she was learning those two things were often the same. "Why am I here?" Haijin set down her cup with deliberate grace. "Because you deserve the truth my sons won't tell you." And then she laid it all out with surgical precision. Wu Jin and Sujin, raised in competition, pitted against each other from childhood by Taeyang's impossible expectations and the demands of succession. Wu Jin, the eldest, supposed to inherit, but a childhood illness left him believing he was infertile, shifting the family's focus entirely to Sujin. "My youngest son has spent his life proving he's superior," Haijin explained, voice even and clinical, "and my eldest has spent his life trying to be enough. The bet was Sujin's weapon, but Wu Jin's love for you, that was real." Sophia's voice was bitter, defensive. "How would you know?" "Because he forfeited everything to protect you. The territory, the money, his standing with his brother, all of it, on day 18. Haijin slid a folder across the table. Sophia opened it with shaking hands. Inside, documented proof. Wu Jin's forfeiture message to Sujin, timestamped and preserved. Legal paperwork withdrawing from the bet. Even a transcript of a call where Wu Jin told his brother clearly, "She's not part of this anymore. I'm out." Day 18. Before they made love. Before everything changed. Sophia stared at the papers, vision blurring with tears she refused to let fall. Then why didn't he tell me? Pride, fear, shame, take your pick. Haijin's voice softened marginally. My son is flawed, but he loves you, and that child you carry, it's a miracle we thought impossible. Then Haijin revealed the rest. The NDA payments Sophia had been shown, they were real, but incomplete, strategic omissions designed to destroy trust. Those women were business entanglements Wu Jin ended before meeting you. Some were threats, some were complications from our world that required legal separation. Su Jin is feeding you information designed to destroy your trust. Haijin placed a second folder on the table. He's hired investigators, leaked financials, orchestrated this entire campaign because he cannot accept losing. Sophia opened the second folder. Evidence of Su Jin's crimes, offshore accounts, embezzlement from family operations, forged documents, years of theft using Wu Jin as a scapegoat. The truth was more complex than Sophia wanted. Wu Jin had lied, but he'd also fought for her. And Su Jin was the architect of her pain, not just a supporting character. She didn't know what to do with any of this. Haijin leaned forward, eyes sharp and assessing. Stay. Let us protect you from Su Jin's schemes. Let Wu Jin prove himself. In exchange, I will ensure Su Jin is removed from succession and faces consequences for his crimes. Sophia recoiled. You want me to be bought? I want you to be safe. There's a difference. Haijin's voice was firm. Su Jin won't stop. He views you as a threat to his position. Without protection, you and your child are vulnerable. Sophia stood, shaking her head. I don't need your family's protection. I've survived worse than your sons. Haijin's voice followed her to the door. Have you survived someone with resources, connections, and nothing to lose? Because that's what Su Jin has become. That evening, Sophia returned to Naya's apartment to find the door ajar. Her stomach dropped. Inside, the place had been ransacked, not violently, but methodically. Drawers opened, papers scattered, her belongings searched with clinical efficiency. Naya was on the phone with police, voice shaking with fury and fear. They were looking for something, but I don't know what. Sophia knew. Medical records, personal information, leverage, anything to use against her. Her phone rang, unknown number. She answered with trembling hands. A voice, distorted and masked. You should have taken the matriarch's offer. Now things get complicated. The line went dead. Sophia looked at Naya, fear finally overriding pride, overriding hurt, overriding everything except the primal need to protect herself and her baby. I need to call Wu Jin. She dialed. He answered on the first ring, voice raw and desperate. Sophia? I need help, she whispered. Su Jin is coming after me. Wu Jin's response was immediate, lethal, certain. I'm on my way. Don't open the door for anyone but me. Wu Jin arrived at Nia's apartment with Ji-hoon in tow. Ji-hoon was a stocky man with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, tactical vest visible under a leather jacket, eyes constantly scanning for threats. Wu Jin's most loyal soldier, the only person he trusted completely. Sophia opened the door. For the first time since the hospital, she looked at Wu Jin fully, really looked at him. He looked destroyed, days of no sleep carved into his face like scars, desperation and fear warring in his eyes. Are you okay? His voice cracked on the question. She nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. He stepped inside. Ji-hoon immediately began securing the perimeter, checking windows, locks, sightlines. Within 20 minutes, they'd pieced together what was happening. Su Jin had hired people to surveil Sophia, to ransack her spaces, to intimidate her into leaving the city before the baby was born. He's escalating, Ji-hoon explained, examining scratches on Nia's door lock. This isn't just harassment. He's building towards something bigger, more permanent. Wu Jin's jaw was iron. He's trying to force her out before the baby is born, eliminate the heir, eliminate the threat to his position. Sophia, listening from the couch with Nia pressed against her side, felt ice flood her veins. He'd hurt his own nephew? Wu Jin met her eyes, and the truth in them was devastating. He'd hurt anyone who makes him feel inferior, including me, including you. Sophia made a decision in that moment, one she'd probably regret but couldn't avoid. I want to confront him, face to face. Woojin immediately refused. Absolutely not, it's too dangerous. I'm tired of being hunted, Sophia snapped, fire returning to her voice for the first time in days. I'm tired of being a pawn in your family's games. If he wants me gone, he can say it to my face. Woojin recognized that look, the same steel she'd shown the first night he met her, shutting him down without hesitation. He couldn't stop her then, he couldn't stop her now. Then I'm coming with you, and Ji-hoon, and we do this on neutral ground. Day 38, a parking garage in Alexandria, Virginia. Public enough to be safe, private enough to speak freely. Soojin arrived flanked by 2 hired thugs, not family soldiers, which meant he was operating outside official channels. He saw Sophia and smirked. The waitress speaks, I'm impressed. Sophia stepped forward, Woojin tense as a coiled spring beside her. Why are you doing this? Soojin's smile was pure venom. Because you don't belong. You're a distraction my brother mistakes for love. And that child? He gestured dismissively at her stomach. Convenient timing, don't you think? Almost like someone's trying to trap their way into a fortune. Woojin moved, rage flooding his system, but Sophia put a hand on his chest, stopping him. Her voice was calm, lethal. I don't want your family's money. I don't want your power. I want you to leave me alone. Soojin laughed, the sound echoing off concrete. That's not how this works. You're carrying a Beck. That makes you my problem. She's not a problem. Woojin's voice was quiet, dangerous. She's the mother of my child, and if you touch her again, blood won't matter. I will end you. The standoff shattered when one of Soojin's men reached for Sophia, not violently, just to escort her away. Ji-hoon intercepted, and the parking garage exploded into violence. Fists, bodies slamming into concrete, echoes amplifying every impact. Ji-hoon took down one thug with brutal efficiency. The other came at Woojin, but Woojin only had eyes for his brother. Years of resentment erupted into raw physicality as they finally clashed. No words, just violence they'd both been holding back for decades. They were matched in skill. Trained by the same instructors, raised in the same world, but Woojin fought with something Soojin lacked, purpose beyond pride. He overpowered his brother, slamming him against a car, forearm pressed to his throat. It's over, Soojin. Soojin spat blood, still laughing through split lips. You think you've won? You've lost everything. Father will never forgive you. The family will never accept her. You're nothing. Woojin leaned closer, voice deadly calm. I'd rather be nothing with her than everything with you. Sirens wailed in the distance. Haijin had called the authorities, not to save Soojin, but to contain him. Police arrived with evidence Haijin had provided: financial crimes, harassment charges, documented threats. Everything Soojin thought was buried. He was arrested, screaming curses as officers dragged him away. You're dead to this family, dead. Woojin didn't respond. He turned to Sophia, who stood frozen, watching everything with wide eyes, body shaking. It's over, he said softly. She didn't move toward him, didn't move away. Just stared. As police secured the scene, another car arrived. Tae-yang stepped out, stone-faced, silent. He looked at Woojin, then at Sophia, then at his youngest son being placed in a police car. His voice, when it finally came, was cold enough to freeze blood. You've destroyed this family. Woojin didn't flinch. No, I saved it from itself. Tae-yang turned and left without another word, disappearing into the night like a ghost. Haijin remained. She approached Sophia carefully, hands visible, non-threatening. Come to the estate tomorrow, both of you. It's time to end this properly. Later, standing in the empty parking garage, sirens fading into the DC night, city lights harsh overhead, Sophia finally spoke. I don't forgive you yet, but I believe you love me. Woojin's eyes closed, relief and pain warring for dominance. That's enough, for now. She nodded slowly. Tomorrow we face your family, together, but after that, she placed a hand on her stomach, protective and fierce. After that, you have to prove every day that you've changed, that we're not a mistake. We're not a mistake, he whispered. You're the only thing I've ever done right. She didn't smile, but she didn't walk away either. It was the first fragile thread of hope since everything broke. Day 40. Sophia and Woojin stood at the entrance of the Bayek estate, her hand resting lightly in his, not reconciliation, but alliance. United front against whatever waited inside. The entire empire had assembled, uncles, aunts, cousins from Baltimore and beyond, all gathered for judgment. They were led to the main conference room, mahogany table stretching endlessly, ancestral portraits watching from walls like silent witnesses, the weight of legacy pressing down like atmospheric pressure. Taeyang sat at the head, expression carved from granite. Heejin to his right, elegant and unreadable. An empty chair to his left, Sujin's absence a void everyone felt but no one acknowledged. Taeyang spoke first, voice hard as iron. You've brought scandal to this family, betrayed your brother, chosen an outsider over blood. Explain yourself. Woojin didn't sit, refused to be diminished. There's nothing to explain. I fell in love. I made mistakes, but I've corrected them. Sujin's crimes are his own. I didn't force his hand. He glanced at Sophia, standing beside him with quiet strength that put everyone else's posturing to shame. And Sophia, she's not an outsider. She's the mother of your grandchild, your heir. That makes her family. Taeyang's fist slammed the table, making water glasses jump. She's a waitress. She has no lineage, no connections, no value to this empire. Sophia's voice cut through the room, calm and firm as steel wrapped in silk. I don't want value to your empire. I want safety for my child and respect as a human being. If you can't offer both, then we'll leave. Simple. The room gasped. No one spoke to Taeyang this way, ever. He stared at her, fury and surprise warring across his features. Heejin intervened, voice measured and strategic. The child changes everything, Taeyang. We thought Woojin couldn't produce an heir. This baby is a miracle, medically, strategically. We can't ignore that. Taeyang's eyes narrowed dangerously. A miracle or a trap? He looked directly at Sophia. How do we know this child is even his? The insult landed like a physical slap. Sophia's jaw tightened, but before she could respond, Woojin stepped forward, voice lethal and final. Accuse her again and I walk. Forever. You'll lose your son and your grandchild in one breath. The room held its collective breath. Father and son locked eyes, a battle of wills decades in the making, every disappointment and resentment compressed into one moment. Finally, Heejin spoke. DNA tests can be arranged, but I don't believe that's necessary. Woojin has chosen. The question is, do we choose to keep him, or do we lose him to pride? Taeyang's silence was answer enough. He stood slowly, voice final as a death sentence. You have a choice, Woojin. Stay, accept your position, bring her into the family under our terms, or leave. Renounce your name, your inheritance, your claim to everything we've built. Choose. For the first time in his life, the choice was easy. Woojin looked at his father, then his mother, then the assembled family, the entire empire built on competition and cruelty and conditional love. I renounce my claim, all of it, the business, the inheritance, the name if that's what it takes. I choose her. I choose our child. I choose a life where love matters more than legacy. Taeyang's face hardened to stone. Then you're no son of mine. The words should have hurt, should have cut deep after a lifetime of chasing this man's approval. They didn't. Woojin felt free. Heejin stood, tears glistening in her eyes, proud and heartbroken simultaneously. Woojin, wait! But Taeyang silenced her with a single look. Wu Jin took Sophia's hand. Let's go. As they reached the door, Hyejin's voice stopped them. Wu Jin. He turned. She crossed the room with deliberate grace, reached behind her neck, and removed a jade pendant, an heirloom passed through generations of Baek women. She placed it in Sophia's hands, closing her fingers around it gently. For the child, so they know where they came from, even if they're raised away from here. It was blessing and goodbye wrapped into one gesture. Sophia's eyes welled up. Thank you. Hyejin cupped her face gently like a mother would. Protect him. He's stronger than he knows. Then, turning to Wu Jin, you've become the man I always hoped you'd be. Taiyang's voice cut from across the room. Hyejin, sit down. She ignored him completely, watching her son leave. Wu Jin and Sophia walked out of the estate into late afternoon Virginia sun, leaving behind wealth, power, legacy, everything the world told him mattered. Halfway to the car, Sophia stopped, turned to face him. Are you okay? He looked back at the mansion, the prison he'd been raised in, the empire he'd just renounced, then at her, then at her stomach where their child grew. I'm free. She searched his face, looking for regret, for doubt, found only truth. What now? He smiled, small, real, unburdened for the first time in his life. Now we build something that's ours. No games, no lies, just us. She nodded slowly, and for the first time since day 29, she allowed herself the smallest smile back. Okay, let's go home. 3 months later, Chicago's South Loop, early morning. Sophia stood at the window of their modest two-bedroom apartment, hands cradling her swollen belly, 6 months now, watching snow fall over the city like a blanket of forgiveness. Behind her, Wu Jin moved through the small kitchen making breakfast. Eggs, toast. Terrible coffee she couldn't drink anymore, but he still made out of habit, like muscle memory from a different life. This was their life now, small, quiet, real. The past 3 months had been reconstruction from the ground up. Wu Jin took a job with a private security consulting firm, using skills honed in his family's world, but applied honestly. The pay was a fraction of what he'd had, barely enough to cover rent and groceries, but it was clean, earned, his. Sophia enrolled in online business courses with Amara's fierce encouragement, planning to open her own catering company once the baby arrived. Dreams she'd buried under survival were cautiously resurfacing. They lived simply, thrift store furniture that didn't match, home-cooked meals at a kitchen table bought off Craigslist, walks through Millennium Park when Sophia's energy allowed, her hand in his, baby kicking against their joined palms. It wasn't glamorous, it was everything. But healing isn't linear. There were hard days. Days when Sophia woke remembering the bet, the lies, and couldn't look at him without seeing day one in that bar. Days when Wu Jin's guilt was so crushing he couldn't speak, just moved through their apartment like a ghost haunting his own life. Days when they argued about dishes or laundry because the big things, trust, forgiveness, the future, were too raw to touch directly. 3 weeks after moving to Chicago, Sophia found him sitting on the floor of the empty nursery, head in his hands, crying silently. I'm so scared I'll mess this up, he'd whispered, voice breaking, that I'll fail you both. She sat beside him, their shoulders touching. You already messed up. Now you're fixing it. That's all we can do. Today was different. Today felt like hope instead of survival. They had a doctor's appointment, the first one they were attending together. Sophia had let Wu Jin back in slowly, carefully, like learning to walk on a broken ankle. First as a co-parent, then as a friend, then as something more fragile and undefined. They hadn't labeled what they were just showing up. In the car, Wu Jin's hand hovered near hers on the console, hesitant, asking permission even now. She noticed, slid her fingers through his. He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for months. Maybe he had. At the doctor's office, the ultrasound technician smiled at the screen, then at them. Do you want to know the gender? They looked at each other, a whole conversation in a glance. Sophia nodded. It's a girl. Woo Jin's eyes flooded with tears he didn't try to hide. A daughter. He was going to have a daughter. Sophia watched his reaction. Unguarded joy, bone-deep terror, overwhelming love all crashing together, and something final shifted inside her. She believed him now, fully, completely. Later, in the parking lot, she stopped walking. Woo Jin. He turned. She took both his hands, placed them on her belly where their daughter was moving, active and alive. I forgive you. The words were simple, devastating. He crumbled, forehead pressed to hers, shoulders shaking with sobs he'd been holding back for months. I don't deserve. Probably not, she interrupted gently, honestly. But you're earning it, every day, so keep going. He nodded against her, unable to speak past the gratitude choking him. That evening, Woo Jin's phone rang. Hi Jin. The first time they'd spoken since he walked out of the estate. Sophia watched as he answered, cautious. Oma? Hai Jin's voice was warm, careful. Sujin has been sentenced. 18 months for financial crimes. Your father and I are managing. But I'm calling because I wanted to know, have you chosen a name for my granddaughter? Woo Jin glanced at Sophia, who nodded permission. We're thinking Zuri. It means beautiful. Silence on the line. Then, it's perfect. When she's born, if you'll allow it, I'd like to meet her. Not as family claiming her, as a grandmother asking for grace. Woo Jin looked at Sophia. She mouthed, your choice. He took a breath. We'll think about it, Oma, but thank you for calling. I'm proud of you, Woo Jin, more than I ever said. The call ended. Sophia saw tears on his face. You okay? He nodded, smiling through them. Yeah, I think I finally am. 3 weeks later, a small celebration in their apartment. Nia, Amara, Ji-hoon, who'd become an unlikely friend, teaching Woo Jin how to assemble baby furniture with patience he never showed in the field. A few neighbors who'd adopted them into the building's makeshift family. Sophia glowed, exhausted, happy, fully herself. Woo Jin stood at the window watching her laugh with Amara, one hand unconsciously resting on her lower back when she stood too long, protective and present. This was his family now. Chosen. Built. Real. Later, after everyone left, they sat on the couch in comfortable silence. Sophia's head on his shoulder, his hand on her belly, feeling Zuri kick like she was already eager to meet the world. Hey, Sophia murmured, half asleep. Yeah? Ask me again. He knew what she meant, the question from day 12 in the gallery that felt like a lifetime ago. He smiled. Is this okay? She tilted her face up to his, eyes clear, walls finally gone. It's more than okay. It's real. He kissed her forehead, her temple, her lips, gentle, grateful, sure. Outside, Chicago glittered in the winter night, snow falling soft and forgiving. Inside, two people who broke each other were learning how to build something unbreakable. Love isn't the absence of mistakes, it's the choice to repair what's been broken every single day until the cracks become part of the foundation's strength. The end. Thank you for joining K-Stories by Emma for this incredible journey. If you loved this story, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means everything. Until next time, believe in love, fight for what matters, and never give up on redemption. This is Emma, signing off.